Red soil and ghost gums, spin effects and bottle brush, these are a part of our rich, clean Outback. Blue tongues and frill necks.
Okay, we're at George Smiley's house here, and here he is. G'day, George.
G'day, Vic. Good to see you. Come on in and I will show you around the gallery.
Okay, looking forward to it. What do we have here, George?
And this is the world's only honest poker machine. The battery's dead at the moment, but if you put a coin in the coin slot, the metal magpie swallows it, poops it into that pipe, and you never see your money again. The cylinder turns, and it's, of course, a poker machine cylinder with different figures, but no matter where it stops, it never lines up. And I call this piece Art, Love, Life. No matter what you do, you put your money in, you get nothing out of it. And at the top is the great Australian icon Ned Kelly, and like the Emperor's new clothes, he's got nothing on underneath his armour.
That's quite unique, George. Great. Okay, what have we got in the corner here, George?
And that is a whimsical automaton, and it's a bondage situation. The girl is chained to the bed. It's probably consensual, but she's struggling to escape. And the little man with the bolt to his heart, he is wiggling in anticipation that he's going nowhere. And up on top, it's called the weather call. And up on top you've got the symbol of masculinity, the rooster crowing and flapping his wings. But you can tell by the direction the wind is blowing that there's nothing to crow about.
Great. And what about the coffee table, George?
That is a wood-boring beetle, and it is made by bending steel rods around a steel armature and welding them up with a wire feed welder. And the wings can be opened or closed. And I'm going to eventually put a piece of plate glass on top of it.
Okay. Okay.
I call this one the triumph of civilization. Here you have got this incredible, crazy machine made out of found bits and pieces from the recycler. It's a one-track vehicle, and it's a combination between a World War I tank and a sailing ship. And here it is started, of course, from nothing on the bottom, and we have constructed this juggernaut, which is now poised on a precipice, about to crash to destruction. And there's a sexually explicit air pump that fills this receiver, and that symbolizes the force of biology driving us forwards with ever-increasing human numbers. And the crow's nest rotates, and up in the crow's nest you've got our glorious leaders pointing the way forward, and of course flapping their lips. And here, of course, is this, well, I'll turn it further. Here's the Secretary General of the Communist Party with his little fur hat and his teeth and a big grin. And up in the front you have got Satan barking, "Forward, boys."
Okay. And what's in the corner down here? George?
This is a steel skeleton of a combination between a swamp hen and a seagull. It's my postmodern swamp hen, actually. It is a comment on modernism. He's striding through the mud, and the grass and reeds or whatever sticking up out of the mud is an old universal beam, which is a very popular part of the modern assemblage these days.
Okay.
This is an automaton I call the ecological engine. It's about fire in the eucalypt forest. So I've got a bull stained glass panel there which has got a light behind it, and up above we've got the kangaroo running, of course, from the fire.
Right, he's come to a stop.
Sure does. Has to drive you mad.
Okay.
And this fella here was my 1998 prophecy for the tech boom. You have got the bear. He's charging forward as you turn the crank. And down below, you've got the little bull, which occasionally comes up to the trough, but he doesn't stay very long.
Okay. What about that painting there, George?
That is the Gadarene swine, when Jesus cast the demons out of the madman, and they said, "Lord, cast us not into the abyss, rather let us enter yonder herd of pigs on the hillside." At which point they entered the pigs, which ran down the hill, plunged into the Sea of Galilee, and were drowned, all 2,000 of them. This is called an older paradigm. It is about a scientific theory or a religion that has reached its use by date, and its arms have fallen off, its flesh has fallen off, but nevertheless it retains a life of its own.
It looks like feeding time, George.
He's just telling you the way things are, Vic.
Okay, great, George. Okay, what are these unique paintings, George?
That's a diptych about the Christian brethren who imagine that they are going to be pulled out of this nasty old world by their bootstraps, leaving the rest of us sinners to endure the tribulation. And of course here he's receiving the slings and arrows and laughter of his fellow workers at the meatworks.
Yeah.
And only in the next panel it is all happening, to his great surprise, and of course to the great amazement of the unbelievers.
Right, so he's being whisked away virtually. Straight out of his boots. From his workplace at the abattoirs.
That's correct.
That's great, George. Oh, what about this painting here, George?
I painted that after the death of Pope John Paul.
Uh-huh.
It was quite old. And the frame is hand carved.
Okay. Now what about this one up here, George?
That is a tribute to Egon Schiele, the great German artist who died in the swine flu epidemic when he was, I think he was 29 years old or something. His wife was also taken.
Ah. So they've got that combined type.
But his figures are all quite androgynous, with similar lines, but of course my lines are not anywhere nearly as good as his. This is more humorous.
Right, now what about this painting here, George?
Well, that is my version of Picasso's Demoiselles d'Avignon. And up there in the corner is a hellish panel from Hieronymus Bosch and his Garden of Earthly Delights, in which this ugly blue bird is defecating the souls of sinners down into the pit. And that's where that little guy has found himself.
Ah, okay. Now what about this one, George?
That is a light box, and I call that the Noble Eightfold Path. It's about Buddhism, and here you have a mandala in the top which descends into the bars of a cage which holds all living beings in illusion and thrall. And there's that little rat, and he is madly trying to find the right lever to press to take the cookie.